Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. How are we today? It's been a few days. Today, we're going to dig deeper into this economic revolution that we have an opportunity for right now. And I look forward to playing my part of that revolution. Forward to playing my part. I want to thank some people who have sent me information about other organizations that have a similar viewpoint as mine, and I think it's outstanding. And there is no point. How you doing, Kenneth? And one of my goals here, now goal, is to connect with some of these programs, some of these companies, some of these programs that are already moving in a way that aligns itself with my vision. So we are going to be doing that. So tomorrow I'll be reaching out to a company, a organization. Hey Stacy, how you doing? Actually, I'll probably be reaching out to Stacy as one of the people that I'll get in contact with about moving forward in growing and developing a economic response to everything that's going on, to what has been happening, going on in the black community for an incredibly long time. But finally, I believe that we're at a flashpoint. We're at a flashpoint in history, a flashpoint where I think Shannon Sharp said it the best. Shannon Sharp's Skip asked Shannon, what makes this so much different? Why is it that the world is in uproar? The world is protesting. Um, do they have programs in Virginia? The place that I'm looking at right now, they don't. They're here local in Atlanta, but we're gonna if you we will search out and connect with other organizations because I don't want this to be some small thing that just starts here in Atlanta that only involves me and a few other people. This is a discussion that me and my wife have had and have to have even more of, but we want to recognize this point in history. So as I was saying, Skip was asking Shannon Sharp on ESPN, why the difference? You know, we've seen so many other black people who were murdered. We've seen so many other cases of police brutality. Why George Floyd? Why does his murder stick out so much? Why has it galvanized the world? It has struck white people in a way that they weren't struck before. It struck Asian people and people in Europe and Africa and Australia in ways that they've never been struck before. Certainly, these people have heard of other black people who face police brutality and the police officers get off. They've heard it. They've seen it. It's happened. How you doing? Why people? Why? But why this one? Well, I think Shannon Sharp he mentioned one aspect of it. But I believe that there are two aspects of it, and from this dust of everything that's going on, black people, we will rise. We will rise in the vision that we have for ourselves. Shannon remarked about how this incident was the first time, one of the first time, the very first time, that someone had a camera that was close enough that you can see the expressions on George Floyd's face. The cameras were close enough that you can feel his cry for his mother, who had been passed on for 2 years. I know many women have felt that pain when they heard him cry for his mama. I, as a 48-year-old man, hearing another 40-something year old man crying for his mother who has passed on, it touches you in a way that's different from Eric Gardner. We saw him get choked out, but it was from a distance. We didn't feel it. The world didn't feel it. This instance, you felt it. You saw in his eyes. You peered into the eyes of a man going through his final moments. And that is one of the differences, one of the things that's made a difference. What Shannon didn't mention, which makes the other difference in this situation, is the fact that for months, the entire world had been quarantined. For the majority of the world, life had changed. You were spending more time at home. You were spending more time with your family. You were spending more time watching television. You were spending more time being connected to social media. So although these things had happened before, people were very, very busy. They were busy going to work. They were busy paying bills. They were busy trying to have a little fun. They was busy doing everything that you normally do in life. But this incident, this issue, this situation, this dastardly deed occurred while everybody was taking a pause. Everybody was taking a pause, and they sat at home and they saw the life snuffed out of George Floyd. Now, there has been many controversies since, and there will be many more to come. But what I want to talk about with you guys today is the vision. And if you're watching this today, great. If you're watching this later, that's still great. There is something that I want you guys to get involved with at the end of this video. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, it's not free. It's not free. If you've known me long enough, you know free is not my name. Free is not even part of my name. I don't believe in free. I believe we need to learn how to pay for everything. Give value to it. When things are free, they have no value. So stay to the end and you'll hear about it, hear more about it. But in this economic time, in this, we have to recognize that there are a couple of things that we should focus on. One, tomorrow here in Georgia, there is a vote. Now, I know if you watched my previous video, you know I don't believe your vote is going to count that much. I don't put a lot of stock in voting. We've been voting for 50 years since the marches in the 1960s, and it hasn't done much for us. But I'm not telling anybody to not go vote. I know a few people felt I was telling them to not go vote. I'm not telling you to not go vote. Go vote. I'm going to vote for the local elections here in my city. But what I'm saying is that our vote does not have the power that it was intended to have. And one of the reasons why is because we do not have the economic backing to force that vote to have power. We don't have the economic backing that creates consequences for those who disrupt our lives and come into our communities and able to take from us and kill us and brutalize us. So we don't have the economic backing of that. You see, what made those marches in the 60s so powerful is that after the march, after the speeches were made, there was economic work being done. It wasn't just about boycotting. It wasn't just about taking money out of white people's pocket, but it was about building our communities. And that's what we don't have as part of this march. Now, I am thrilled that this has sustained itself for more than 2 weeks. You know the usual. We get mad. All the somebodies show up. Al and all of them, they show up. They give their speeches. They have the memorial service. They talk about it's time for a change. We got to sit down and come up with a plan. We got to sit down and figure things out. We got to figure out a new way. And then, y'all, we need to go to the polls. That's the usual. And then everything dies out. Everything goes away. Let's be honest. You haven't heard any of the so-called leaders talk about Sandra Bland in months or years. You haven't heard the so-called leaders talk about Eric Gardner in months or years. No one has mentioned Trayvon until now. You haven't heard them keeping up or saying anything concerning that. The reason why, because it was a flash in the pan and now and then it was gone. But this one has sustained itself because of the world's view and seeing of it. And I must also say, because the new generation of 20-something-year-olds and 30-something years, they have taken a lead. I will also say this one has been more sustaining because the world, the world, other than black people in America, sat home and watched the life ebb out of this man's eyes. And because of that, it struck a chord. It struck them in a way never before. Now, there are many, it did not strike them. To them, it was business as usual. Here's another black person, all black people whining and crying and looting and whining and crying. You know, get a job, go back to Africa, all these other kind of statements. He was a criminal, all these other kind of things. So there are some who are never going to get it, and I'm not worried about them. But we've seen a lot of things happen. We've seen Confederacy being taken down in many states, and that's a good thing, because if you keep monumentalizing these evil people who wanted to keep folks as slaves, you're going to maintain the same mindset. But out of this, as I was saying, the marches in the 60s had an economic power that backed it. We don't have that right now. So I had a vision. I had two visions. The first vision showed this ebbing away, this going away, this dying out. Just like everything else, just like all the previous, it dies out because we don't have enough impact. What happened in the vision is that people went to the polls in June, and you voted for your local elections. You went to the polls in November, and you voted for all the presidential and down elections. And there were some changes here and there and some shakeups, and people felt like something is happening. This officer, all four officers got convicted, and everybody felt like something was happening. And then we went back to business as usual. We went back to shopping at all the businesses in our community that takes from us and don't give to us. We went back to dogging out black businesses. We went back to going and giving our money away outside of our community. We went back to getting jobs. We went back to the same thing, just waiting for the next outburst. Waiting for the next outburst. That was the first vision I had. And then I decided I need to have a lucid dream, a lucid vision. And in that vision, I saw something totally different. I saw everything that happened before. I saw the marches. I saw us going to the polls. I saw all these things. But what I saw that was different is that we built economically. We built a power base that would support and defend our constitutional right. We saw and built something that said that we deserve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness just as much as anybody else. I had a different vision that showed me that we bought our neighborhoods and that we built businesses in our neighborhoods, and that we then were in a position to tell the police how they were going to police us. We were in a position to tell the politician how they were going to vote in their assemblies. We had the financial position to do something, to have self-determination in our lives. And it scared the hell out of America. It's literally scared the hell out of America. People are asking on a lot of posts that I see, what did we do to make you hate us so much? What did we do? Well, most would say we did nothing. We stopped giving you free labor, is what most people's response to that is. We stopped giving you free labor. But there's more to it than we stopped giving you free labor. We didn't leave. We stayed. We stayed. Marcus Garvey said, let's go. Let's get out of here. Abraham Lincoln helped establish Liberia so we can get out of here. But we stayed. That pissed them off. Then once we stayed, we started demanding equality. That pissed them off as well. And the more and more we demanded equality, the more and more there was a general hatred for us. And then after the 60s, an even bigger hatred came in the fake idea that black people want to be on welfare. This fakery, this fake idea. Trust and belief for any white person who is listening to this. No black person wants to remain in poverty. No black person wants to live in an environment where their children are not safe. No black person wants to continue to have babies and so they can live in the ghetto. Most black people, if given the opportunity, would want to leave those conditions. That's just the simplicity of it. Most black people, they don't want to be rich. Most black people are not trying to be rich. Most black people just want to have a decent life, a nice place to live, and to be able to come and go as they choose. That's what most black people want. We don't want to live off your taxes, as many of you like to say. It is not our goal. It is not our goal. Self-determination is our goal. That is our goal. But black people, I have to say this. We have failed in the mission that began in the 60s. We let integration and we let those who we thought would become our new leaders sidetrack us into a situation where we ran from our neighborhoods. I grew up in Marietta, Georgia, and I never saw it, but my parents told me of how Lawrence Street was the Black Wall Street. That before integration, that's where all the black businesses, the prominent black business leaders lived. They lived on Lawrence Street and they lived on Cole Street, and their businesses was in those areas. And I learned that, you know, they couldn't go up to Marietta Square and shop. They couldn't go to Woolworth. There was a Woolworth up there. You guys, some of you youngins don't know what Woolworth is, but they couldn't go up there. Most of the white businesses, they couldn't buy anything, or if they were, they had to do it through the back. So we built our own out of necessity. But as soon as the opportunity came to give all our money away, we did. Integration became the nightmare of Dr. King's dream. But what I'm saying is that we are now in a situation where we can have a true and new vision. And that new and true vision starts with us. Go to the polls and do your voting. But recognize that nobody is going to give you anything. No one's going to give us anything. No one's going to ballot us into equality. That's not going to happen. That's not how it happens. In order for us to get to this point where we have equality, there has to be financial consequences to us being treated unfairly, to us being treated as second-class citizens. You see, Asians don't have that problem. Not because they came with the plan, but because they pooled their efforts and their energies together and buy from each other. Asians don't, what you do not see is Asians going online talking about how all Asian businesses are ran poorly. Now, let's be honest, people. If you go to 10 Asian restaurants in the black community, 5 of them are ran poorly. But we don't go online and talk about how they are ran poorly. But 1 black business is run poorly, 2 black businesses ran poorly, and we will go online and talk about how all black businesses are ran poorly. But we don't see that in the Asian community. We don't see that in the Jewish community. Although there are 2 Jewish bakeries that I like. Go get me some good baklava. One, I had to stop going there. The customer service was poor, and I watched the score go down. But I never seen where they are online talking about how poor quality that Asian bakery is. I mean, that Jewish bakery is. Instead of beating our own businesses down and believing in the myth that no black business can be ran well, because nobody has ever came into my popcorn shop and said that it was dirty and filthy and the customer service was horrible and these sort of things. No, because I refuse to run a business that way. It doesn't work that way. For 8 plus years, I've ran that business that way. My wife's daycare for 20 years have been ran at the highest level. No one has ever said that she doesn't run it at the highest level. So what I'm saying is that not all black businesses are the same. But in order for us to get that equal footing, we got to run our black businesses at a quality level on par with every other type of business that's being ran. But we first have to make a dedication to ourselves to buy from black businesses. As I sit here right now, I'm telling you right now, here's the plan. And this plan is something that I came up with in 2011. So let me apologize for not implementing it much earlier. But I believe America is ready now for it. I don't think America was ready for it. I don't think black America was ready for this plan back then. But I think America is ready for it now because I'm hearing other people in other organizations talk about the same plan. So this is not, what is those saying? There's nothing new under the sun. Everything that has happened before is already known and will happen again. So this is not new. I'm not telling you guys anything new. I'm not some genius that came up with something brand new. I'm just a mouthpiece, but I'm also an action piece. So we all got to become our own action heroes. So buying from black businesses. There is, and we're going to look at, since I deal in the restaurant industry myself, we're going to look at restaurants as our base. But I want you to think about this throughout all industries. Make the concerted effort to only eat at black restaurants, black-owned restaurants. Now, notice I did not say minority-owned restaurants. Nothing against Asians, nothing against Arabs, nothing against anyone who is not black. But make it a point to eat from black-owned restaurants. Go to websites like eatblackowned.com. Find out what are the black-owned restaurants in your community that are around you. You'll drive across town to go to Cheesecake Factory. Drive across town to go to a black-owned restaurant here in Atlanta. Go to the Blaxican. That way you get your Mexican Southern food infusion. Go to Slutty Vegan. Go to Pascal's. You want to go on a nice evening out? Go to Pascal's. There are nice black restaurants. Go. Find out the ones in your community. But only eat at black-owned restaurants. Now, if you need your fast food, find out if your local Chick-fil-A, the owner, well, it's not an owner, they're operated by. Find out if your local Chick-fil-A is operated by a black person. Here, out where I live, it's pretty easy because the two that I would get to before any others are operated by black people. I know this because they both owners come to my popcorn shop for both locations. So let's find out if for the fast food industry, if it's a franchise and that franchise is owned by a black person, eat there, shop there. But let's make a point to support these businesses in our community. And for the ones who are not up to standard in how they function, instead of us getting online and talking about how bad they are and kicking them down, instead, let's offer support. Let's talk to the owner. There's a roti house that I love. Love this roti house. But the place needs to be remodeled. It needs to be remodeled. So I went over there the other day. I stopped by and I told the owner, I said, look, no disrespect. You run a lot of people come to your business. And I know with that number of people coming to your business, you feel comfortable. But we're in a time frame now where we have to uplift black businesses. I need you to take some time, take some money this year and remodel. A fresh coat of paint will make a ton of difference. A good deep cleaning would make a ton of difference. Simple things that we can do to make our businesses a heck of a lot better. I'm opening up a new popcorn shop in Stone Mountain in about 2 weeks or less. I was originally, when I walked in the door, I was like, oh, it's painted real nice. But it's not my colors. It's not the image that I like for people to feel when they walk in. So I delayed opening to repaint the place. Just paint. $400-500 extra dollars just to paint it. We got to be mindful to do. If you own a business, that's where your mind has to be. So we have to first shop with black businesses. We have to shop with black franchisees. And understand, I'm not telling you to boycott. This is not a boycott. White businesses, white America. And this is just, we have to get equal footing. That's all. In order for this not to happen again, what you don't want to see is that if this happens again in the next let's say everything dies down, and in 5 years this happens again, well, gun ownership in the black community has increased dramatically over the last couple of months. So what we don't want is in the next 5 years for this to become even more violent, because more people are armed and because people will be incredibly frustrated if things haven't changed in the next 5 years. So we don't want to see that. We want to end a violent war before it begins by doing it peacefully, by getting black people in a position to sit at the table on their own, by supporting our communities. Now, white people, the best way you can support is the way that you felt it. You felt the pain. Keep supporting that way. and get out of the way when black people are trying to do business for themselves. Make it easier and remove some of the roadblocks that historically you've placed there. Remove those. But we got to support these black franchises. Now, we do have certain things that we will have to be patient on. Right now, there is not a chain of black grocery stores, so you will still shop at your local grocery stores. But let us find out and let us research to find out who owns what. What products within the grocery stores are owned by black companies? There are some. There may not be a whole lot, but there are some. You may not find a company that makes your spaghetti noodles, but there are different black owned sauces and dressings, and go to the, instead of buying fruit there, go to the farmer's market, or the farmers that you see with a stand on the side of the road. There are ways to still support black groceries that may not come directly from the grocery store or that are in the grocery store. But for right now, yes, we have to. We will still go to our Walmarts and Publix and Krogers and Food Lines and whatever you got in your community, Piggly Wigglies and Food Depots, which I hate Food Depot personally. But whatever your food, wherever your major grocery store, we don't have that yet. But ladies, go across town to the black nail salon. Go to the black waxing company. We have to take this out and show that we're willing to support. And this is how it works. It doesn't work in reverse, where if you put more supply out, the demand increases. The demand has to increase for the supply to grow. So if more and more black women are going to black nail salons, then the black nail salon, when they are overflowing, will have to hire and bring in new black nail technicians. You see, that's how that works. That's how supply and demand works. The supply has to always be higher than the demand in order for the demand. The demand has to be higher than the supply in order for the supply to grow. So if it basically is like this, if Mary, if black lady named Mary sees that, now who's on here? If Stacy has a nail salon, and then her business is growing and booming and she's starting to open up more, then which I don't know her actual first name, her real name, we'll see that Stacy has opened up 2 nail salons and business is just growing. So then she goes and gets certified and opens up a nail salon as well, because she sees that Stacy's nail salon is being supported by black women and it is growing. And so she sees the opportunity and she goes and does it, and that's how we grow. That's how other black people see that there is an opportunity for me to build a business in the nail industry and not. Okay, we back YouTube, but that's how business works. Business works on that platform. Now, many of you have been running businesses as hobbies, right? You've been running it as a side gig, as a side hustle, but you haven't necessarily done what you need to do in order to build it into a full business. And what I want to show you is how to build yours into a full-fledged business. But there are key industries. You see, we have to stop running in after everybody has done everything else, and we have to stop running into what's cheap. There was a rush about a year or two ago of everybody is selling hair online. Not that you shouldn't, but when you took it and put it incorrectly. The supply grew greater than the demand, and then not many could then build an established long-term business based on it. You see, only a few were able to do it, those who got in early. So we have to build ourselves in a way that we have businesses that are now in the forefront. You see the abandoned gas station, let's take the gas station and own it, okay? And then we have to learn how to market it. We have to market it the correct way. Now, as we build these businesses, we have to hire people who look like us. We have to hire the young people in our communities to work for us. We have to hire the old people in our communities to work for us. We have to hire the professionals in our community to work for us. You see, here's the thing. I work with a black architect. Me and my wife work with a black architect. We work with a black construction guy, general contractor. As they grow, they understand that they're going to they hire other contractors to work for them. As the architect grows, he will hire other black architects to work for him. So if we are supporting in that format, then we build our own black economy within this economy as a sub-economy. So we have to hire. So if you own a black business, and if you join my program and you grow it, you have to promise that you're going to hire other black people at equitable levels. Okay? That's a part of it. That's a part of the deal. It's a part of the deal. That's part of how we win. That's part of how we rise up from this and get our seat at the table. So as we do this, we also have to learn how to buy the homes that we live in. And as we buy our houses, then we have more stake in our community. Then we have the ability to save more because we pay the taxes in our community. So we buy our homes as well, which means that we have to get our economics straight. We have to get our finances straight. We have to be willing to say that I'm willing to wait and do what I need to do over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years in order to buy a house. If the options is I need to save up a down payment of $20,000 in order to buy a house in 5 years, then we have to say, okay, I got 5 years. 5 years. $20,000. How much money do I need to save every year to have $20,000 in 5 years? How much is that? It's not that much. It's $4,000. $4,000 a year over 5 years, and you'll have $20,000. $4,000 over the course of a year is how much? Because that part of the math is not quickly in my head. But what is that, like it's not 300? Is it 300 a month? 300 something a month? Or 30? Yeah, about 300 something a month that you would need to save. So if you save 300, I think it's $333.33 every month will get you $4,000 in a year, and then will give you $20,000 in 5 years. Correct? Check my math on that one. Even though I can probably do it on a calculator right in front of me, but I'm not. But it's not that hard, is my point. It's not that hard. Some people say, well, I don't even have $300 a month. That's a lot. I don't have it. But there are things we can do in order to change that. One, my answer is always make more money. You all got hobbies. You all got talents that you can utilize to make more money. I did a challenge back in 2017. Nobody joined me on the challenge, but I offered the challenge. Nobody joined me on it, but then I was joining someone else's challenge. It was the 2017. The challenge was to make $20,170 over a 12-month period, flipping things that you can just sell on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and all these other kind of little doohickeys like that. I didn't make $20,070, but I made like $15,000. Right under $15,000 over that year, just flipping stuff. So if you tell me that you can't save $4,000 in a year, you can certainly make an additional $4,000 a year just by finding things you can buy and sell. There are things that I know that I have right now I can just flip and sell and make $20 here, $50 there, $100 here, $1,000 there. There are different things. There are different products you can find and buy. And if you join my program, I'm going to show you how to do those things, because you don't always have to go get a loan to open up a business. Sometimes you can create your own capital over the next few years to be able to open your brick and mortar business. So we have to be willing to do that. And when we do that, when we hire from the community and we build in the community, then we get a strong footing to be able to demand what we will have from the government. Not what we plead, not what we beg, not what we vote, but what we demand from the government, what we demand from the police force in our local community, what we demand from our schools, what we demand from our teachers, what we demand from our governors and our senators and our congressmen, what we demand from people. We have to get out of the mode of begging. Begging is not going to get us there. Balloting, but it's not going to get us there without the economic force behind it. So, and then as we grow, the final thing is to own the banks. And I'm a bit disappointed in many of our black banks because many of our black banks are owned by Wall Street. And so they have to keep up with the same requirements as every other bank. You walk in there as a black person doesn't necessarily mean you are in a better position to get a loan. You're not. You in some situations you're in a worse position to get a loan from a black bank. It's an unfortunate thing, but you are. And all you've really done is line the pockets of the bank owner and all those on Wall Street who invested in that bank. But a true black bank that is not anchored into Wall Street, which means that it will not be anchored initially in America. It will be anchored in a black nation outside of this country, but it will have the same guarantees and securities as any other bank in America. Just as if you went, you have to ask yourself, why do multimillionaires and billionaires have so much money in foreign banks? If foreign banks were so terrible, so horrible, so unsafe, why would over $3 trillion of American money be in foreign banks? It wouldn't be. It wouldn't. So we have to change our mindset. So here's the deal. I am proposing to you to join my 360-degree business incubation program. This is designed with building the black community in mind. It's the reason, I'm sorry, I'm just typing in here, my bad. But I want you guys to have a full understanding of what I'm talking about. I don't want there to be any guessing. This is not a program for the light of heart. This is not a program for the fly-by-night. If you are not serious about building a business, if you're not serious about uplifting the black community, if you're not serious about taking power back into our hands, then this is not a program for you. This is a program that is designed strictly for people whose only goal is to build black economics. This 360-degree business mentoring program is designed over an 8-week period to take you from wherever you are in business or not in business, to take your hobby and turn it into a legitimate money-making business. Plain and simple. It is not designed just to get you a good business plan. It is not designed just to get the door open. It is not designed just to get some customers coming into the door. But it is designed to organize your life, yourself, your business in such a way that your business will still be here 10 years from now. You see, my business is still here 8 years later. Uncle Renz Popcorn, still kicking. And the main reason why is because over these years, I developed this system of running my business. I developed the SOPs for running it. How many of you are running a business or have a hobby, but do you have an SOP? Standard operating procedures. Can anybody walk in who has the comprehension to be able to read, open up a manual, and conduct the basics of your business? Do you? Do you? Do you have that? If you don't have that, then you're the type of person that needs to be part of this 360-degree business mentoring program. It is a group program. Now, usually I do this individually, but I'm doing this in a group format so that we can also have the shared mind of the group. so that we can have the wisdom of the crowd and be able to move even better. I will still lead it with teaching you how to develop the business plan that I use in order to get a loan to open up a gym. And let me tell you, the banks don't give money to people to open up gyms. They don't give money to open up restaurants. Very difficult. But if you have the right business plan, then you have a better opportunity to get in there. How to set yourself up financially so that you look better to the lending companies or to any investor who wants to get involved with you. That business plan is vital. But even beyond the business plan, let me ask you this: if you're running a business, how many of you do a P&L statement every month? How many of you even know what a P&L statement is? Now, if you've watched anything like Shark Tank, The Profit, any of these shows, Restaurant Impossible, Bar Rescue, Hotel Impossible, any of those shows, you've heard a common thing being said. What are your numbers? Let's sit down and look at your numbers. Now, most people think they're looking at some kind of a checkbook. No, they're not. What they're looking at most often is your P&L statements, your profit and loss statements. How many of you know or have done or do a profit and loss statement? If you're not doing a monthly P&L statement, profit and loss statement, you don't know your numbers. And if you want to run a business that's going to sustain itself over time, you need to have your P&L statements. Now, some of you have ran a business without a P&L statement. You're thinking, I don't need one because my business is still here. The measurement of success is not how well you have done against other people, but is how well you could have done against yourself. There are many financial decisions that you made or did not make simply because you really didn't know your true numbers. You had it kind of in your head. You know that, okay, $25,000 came in this month. It cost me $12,000 in all my basic overhead. Then when I paid myself and then some taxes and a few other things, that pretty much ate up the remaining of the $25,000 that came in this month, because 12, and then I paid myself like 6. And so now, that's 18, and then a few other things. You put some in savings over here and there, and you think, oh, I'm doing very well. But if you did a P&L statement, you'll be able to see where the majority of your money is going out. And then when you know where the majority of your money is going out, then when you look to cut and be able to save and make even more money, then you know where your money is, right? Where most of your money is at that point. Now, once you understand how you can conserve some of your money, or how you can move some of your money around, like maybe when you look at your P&L statement, you see, as far as a restaurant is concerned, you see that your food cost is really high, right? And then you think to yourself, well, my food cost is about 44%. Oh man, that's high. So let me look around, and maybe going to for me here in Atlanta, going to Restaurant Depot, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I need to sign up with Koch Foods or Sofo Foods, or maybe the bigger food companies where I can get a greater discount and drop that 44% of my food cost down to about 30% of my food cost. If you can do that as a restaurant, before, when you didn't have money to expand, now you have money to expand. So understanding your P&Ls help you to make those kinds of decisions. But if you've never done one, you've never been taught how to do it, and then how to think through it, and then understand what it's teaching you, then you can't make those decisions. So you may have still been in business for the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years, but you haven't been truly doing business for the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And your expansion rate is a demonstration of that. And like, there's a restaurant here in Atlanta, for most people, they would look at it and say they're doing well. It's a black-owned restaurant. So it's oh my gosh, it just fell out my head, the name of the restaurant. It's gonna come to me in a minute. But they've been in Atlanta for 30 years. 30 years, right? And they were doing business in Alabama even before that. And I have to wonder sometimes, why did it take them almost 20 years before they really started expanding? Now there are seven stores now, right? 7 stores now, right? And it's like, y'all took 20 years before you start expanding. And now you've expanded into 7 stores over the last 10 years, right? And when I look at this other company called W&B Factory, they've been in business for about 10 years, and now they got 35 stores, and they're constantly opening new stores. One knows their P&Ls. One have always known their P&Ls, and another has not. One has always known, and another has not. And I can say that to the length that a good friend of mine, a former good friend of mine, because we don't really talk anymore, but a formerly good friend of mine knows the family who owns the black restaurant, and they know their shortcomings. They expressed to me their shortcomings some years ago. So when we don't know our numbers, it hinders our growth. And even some of you guys in getting started with your business right now, you don't know your numbers. Even when you're getting started. Many people think they can start a business for a certain amount of money, but no, you might need more. And then you need a certain amount of operating cost. And then you need some realistic ideas of how well you're going to be able to grow this business. This is where my crystal clear marketing plan comes into play. And when you join the 360-degree business mentoring program, you get a chance to be a part of the crystal clear marketing, and you learn it, you understand it, and you have to apply it. Now many of you have been to different programs over and over again, teaching you how to do marketing, and you listen to people online all the time. But the problem is you haven't followed the advice. I have followed so many marketing plans. I've been to so many seminars, and I follow them. Some of them work and some of them don't. Some of them was up to date, some of them was out of date. Right? Especially one that had me sending out like mailers when mailing was dead. Mailing was dead. And so after I have spent literally, when I started the popcorn shop, the first year, I spent roughly $42,000 on marketing, and I'm still waiting to get that money back. I'm still waiting to make that ROI. And we have to understand, how do we utilize current day's marketing opportunities, and how do we stay ahead, and how do we get there first? Let me put it to you like this. If your business is not on TikTok right now, you are not setting yourself up for whatever is going to be the hot way to market in the next 2 years, right? You got to be on TikTok right now. Even if TikTok dies, it will die because of something similar to that, but that's where the marketing opportunity would be. For those who didn't, like, I started doing Facebook ads when Facebook first started putting out ads. And it helped me to build my business when I put it in new locations, right? Now, I didn't do it with Instagram, and I regret it. But I realized that mistake, and that's why I'm on TikTok, right? I don't particularly care for it. I don't particularly care because it takes time. But it's going to take your time. But you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to pop out 1-minute videos. You have to be willing, if that's not your skill set, you need to be able to type out some stuff. You need to be able to figure out where's the best place for you to put your marketing. Where's the attention for your customer? Many of you don't know who your customer is. You know, you have an idea who you want your customer to be, but you don't know who your real customer is. Even though it was taken as a racist statement, and it probably was, I don't know, because I wasn't in America when it happened, but many of you remember Tommy Hilfiger, right? Do you guys remember Tommy Hilfiger? So this is my understanding of it in the mid-90s. Tommy Hilfiger came out with his clothing line. He wanted his customers to be middle-aged to young, preppy style golfers. That's who he wanted. That was his target customer. But it turned out the hip-hop community became his customer, which turned black community into his customer. And he made some kind of statement that he didn't design his clothing for black people or for the hip-hop community, was the statement that he made. It was taken as racist. People still wore the clothes anyway. I don't know if it was racist because I looked at it from a business perspective when I heard it. So when I heard it, what I heard was I came in, I developed my product, and this was my target audience, I was designing my clothes for the golfing sect because they pay money. They have money and they will spend it. Anybody who spends money playing golf will spend money on a bunch of stuff. If they think it has value, because I'm one of them people. I love golf. So they will spend the money. Now, that was who he wanted his target market to be. The market said otherwise. The market said otherwise. Luckily enough for him, he wised up quick enough to go ahead and embrace that market. So you may think you know who your market is. You come into it saying, this is my market. And for certain items, it's a given. That is your market and you got to win. But the market dictates what your market is. Me doing gourmet popcorn, if my market wasn't people who like treats, let's say my market turned out to be vegans, then I would have to conform to my market. Thankfully, it is not vegans. I do have a couple of vegan products, but thankfully it's not, because that would be very difficult. I like making the sweet stuff. And I tell people always eat it in moderation. And with Father's Day coming up, y'all go ahead and get your orders in if you want it delivered or shipped by, so that they can receive it by Father's Day. Go to urpopcorn.com, the letter U, the letter R, by word popcorn, order it. But you got to know who your target market is. If you make jewelry, who's your target market? Then when you start marketing, if it sways and it's a different market, you have to move to that market. You have to then advertise to that market. You have to recognize where are those people in that market. If your target market is 35 years and up, guess where they are? Facebook. If they're 50 years and 50 to 18, they're on Instagram. And they're also now starting to be on TikTok. That's where your market is. Go to your market, right? But then you have to know how to communicate with your market on that platform. Because the way you talk to people on Facebook is not the way you're going to talk to people on Instagram. So if we don't understand that, we cannot grow our business. We cannot grow our business in that format. We have to talk to them in that way. Let me give you an idea of how to talk to your customers in that way. You may think this is strange, but this is all I saw and this is all I heard when I saw it. There's a LA Fitness down the street from me. Mostly black people go there. Where my wife's daycare is, there's another LA Fitness. Pretty much all black people who go there. And then on the other side of town where my brother lives, there's a LA Fitness. Nothing but black people over there. Here's the thing. The LA Fitness near me, the one that's near my wife's daycare, they're relatively the same, right? Same hours, do the same stuff. But the LA Fitness over where my brother is, the community over there is a little bit different. I'm out here where you go in the gym, there's more people who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. The one where my wife works, it got a mixture, a lot of young people, but it's different. Here's the big difference though. The music that's played here is different than the music that's played at the one where my brother is. At the one where my wife's daycare is. But the one where my brother lives, they bring in a DJ. They got a DJ. Totally different market. I call that one Club LA Fitness, because on Friday and Saturday night, it's like a club in there. And that one stays open till like midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning, where the other ones close at 9 or 10. So that one recognizes who their market is and what they have to do to keep their market's attention. And so do these over here. It doesn't always look the same. So you have to speak to your customers on the different platform in a different way. This is what my business mentoring, my 360-degree business mentoring program will teach you. And we will do it together in a group so that we can understand it and really get it. Because the way I would market here in Atlanta, I wouldn't market the same way in New York. Okay, I wouldn't. And the way I would market in New York City and all its boroughs is different than I would do in upstate New York. It's different. It's different people. So we have to be able to understand these things, because every time there's a guy named Gary V. Love listening to Gary V. But even though when I listen to him, I do recognize that some of the things he's saying won't work in my community. It won't. It won't work in my area. For some of the specifics that he said. The things he says in general, yes. Specifics depends on the market. Depends on who your customer is. We have to understand those things. That's what 360 degrees of business mentoring will do for you. And I want you guys to join this program. Our first session is going to start the week of June 15th. Every 15 days, I will start a new class, right? And we will go 8 weeks. It is $200 a month. A minor investment for you to build your business. A minor investment. This program usually is one-on-one, and it's usually $4,000 a month. That's what it usually is. One-on-one and $4,000 a month. Not only will we work on your personal life, because many of you we got to get your credit better. We have to get your health better. We have to get your relationships better so that we can get your business better. All these things have to work together. If there is a deflation in one of them, it is going to cause a problem in the rest of them. How many times have you seen an incredibly successful people, but they're miserable in life and they commit suicide? Or they build up this big, enormous business and then now they burn it all down. How many times have you seen that? How many times have you known someone who had a great business idea? They were moving forward, but their relationships broke it down, tore it down, wouldn't allow it to grow, smothered it. How many times have you seen that? How many times have you seen someone who had a brilliant idea? Brilliant idea. My father, in his waning years, had a brilliant idea, but yet his health, it was too horrible. He was too unhealthy to fulfill that idea. So I ask you guys that. Where are you? We have to work on the full 360 degrees, and then we have to have a commitment to our community, a commitment to build our community. Without that commitment to build our community, then we are wasting our time. We are wasting our time. We are wasting these young people and everybody's effort of marching. We are wasting everybody's time of going to the ballot. We are wasting everybody's time of coming on YouTube and Facebook and making our statements in our video if we are unwilling to do what's necessary economically to build our community and get our rightful place at the table. So before I close out, once again, we have to, from this moment forward, buy from black businesses, shop at black businesses, support black businesses, be kind and courage to help build black businesses, hire other people who look like us from our community. And then from there, we have to build and continue to build greater and bigger black businesses. Now, once again, the first class is going to start June 15th. There's going to be a lot more about it. 360-degree business mentoring. I look for you guys to join it. We're going to have a great time. We're going to build some business. We're going to go through everything that other business classes and business programs never tell you. So I look forward to it. Y'all have a great day. Remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.